The first person that I remember in my life ever considering a hero or a role model, somebody not in TV, like a real person, was Martin Luther King Jr. And if somebody had asked me when I was a kid, when I first had that thought, when I first could tell inside of myself, like, this is a guy that I can look up to. If you would have asked me why I looked up to him when I was really young, obviously I probably couldn't have answered. There's just something about him, it's like, I knew what a hero was in me before I could even articulate what that was, what the characteristics of a hero is. That's changed. I can absolutely articulate now why I look up to, still to this day, Martin Luther King Jr. I think is one of the greatest examples of humanity that has ever lived. And the short answer to that, if you were to put that answer into one sentence, it was because he refused to waver in his love. No matter what. Every generation throughout human history has one thing in common, and there is some justification for hatred. In Nazi Germany, they felt totally justified in hating the Jews, and they had their reasons, right? In America, during Martin Luther King Jr.'s time, white people who were slaveholders, and not all of them, obviously, we did fight a civil war over this, but there was a certain time when the majority of people in this country believed that it was justifiable to hate blacks. And whenever it comes to like hating another person, we've had genocides throughout history. It's all based off of like the claim that these people are less than human. Hitler made that claim about the Jews. In America, when this country first started, that argument was made towards black Americans, black African Americans. So Martin Luther King Jr. came at a very, very unique time when technically slaves were no longer allowed to be had, but the subconscious and the back of the mind of the collective heart of America was, they're still less than human. But Martin Luther King Jr. did not let that affect his love for the world. At some point in his life, early on, before anybody in the world really knew his name, early in his life, he had made an internal decision that no matter what this world does, no matter what it says, he was going to love the people of this world. And instead of react to the hatred and the anger and the animosity that was in that world at the time, pointed at him because of his skin color, he chose to peer around that. And something I've come to like to say a lot, because I am so convinced this is true, this is like a core truth of the world, is that every issue in a person is a need. And Martin Luther King, and the funny thing is, I would agree with Martin Luther King here, Jr., 100%, that no matter what the problem is, it's actually evidence of a need. Even more, that need is always the same thing. And it's love. It's not the fake fraudulent love. It's not romantic love, although that can fit in the corner there somewhere. Romantic love can be unconditional after a certain amount of time, but not the beginning. But it's that unconditional love. It is that agape in Greek. It is the aheb in Hebrew. It is that sacrificial, action-oriented love. Keyword is sacrificial. What did Martin Luther King Jr. have to sacrifice inside of himself to stand on his love for people who hated him? He didn't justify hatred back. He did not react to that the way most people would. And he had a dream. And his dream was the unification. His dream was that need that he saw in America being met with love, and that branching out into a unification that the people alive at that time couldn't have even fathomed. They did not see the same vision that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had. And all throughout time, there are people who are, in a way, timeless. It's almost like you pull a person from the ancient times and plop them into the modern day society. And that is because those people understand that the core truth, the right way, has never changed from ancient times till now. And that way is always love. That need is always love. The solution to every problem is always love. And people who don't just know that in their brain, but they know that in their heart, they're timeless. They know the ancient path. They understand the way that is capitalized in Acts 24 or 14, I think it is. Think about how bad we need that now. That very same love. Most people in America, they have hate in their heart and they feel justified in it. They think, Martin Luther King was awesome. Yeah, he's great. What a man. But he doesn't live in my time. My hate is justified. If I'm in the LGBTQ community, perhaps I feel justified in my hatred towards people because I think that it will fix the world. Hitler thought the same thing about the Jews. Our hatred is justified. These Jews are ruining the world. And that hatred will eventually eradicate them from the world, and the world will be a better place. Even if a person whose hate is justified in their heart doesn't have their mind set on some kind of genocide like that, in a way, they have a similar vision of a ratification of something that they disagree with because they hate it. It's the same pattern, maybe a different degree on the sliding scale, but it's the same desire in the heart of hatred. That desire is also timeless. The argument of the ancient love that has always been the right way has always been the same. Hatred, the wrong way. These paths have never changed. They've changed in expression. We've gotten modern technology. We have certain things have changed, and very few people who have ever existed are like Martin Luther King Jr., who make an internal decision now that no matter what, I will see this world as something that needs love rather than my hatred. And people like that have a desire to be a bridge between those two worlds. Just like the LGBTQ community person may feel justified in their hatred for people who don't agree with that way of life, so does the Republican who has his truck full of bumper stickers that is, basically what woke is broke or whatever they say, that vibe. These two sides that just clash heads and hate each other and feel justified in their hatred. They're just falling for the oldest trick in the book. And around we go. Around and around we've always gone. It's because so few people can actually see through that and understand that this is the same argument that's always been. And the solution is always the same, and it's not more hatred. Another hero of mine when I was a kid, again, I couldn't have explained to you why, but it was Steve Irwin. Those are like my two dudes. Steve Irwin and Martin Luther King Jr. And ultimately, it's for the same reason. It's like Steve Irwin, you never saw him angry. He loved people so much. He just loved animals, he loved people, he just radiated that unconditional love. And you just knew that if you met him, he would be so kind to you, no matter what political stance you were in, or no matter what your beliefs on a certain thing was, you just knew that he would love you. And, I think that should be the goal for all of us. I think that's the right way. These are heroes for a reason. And one of the main problems, though, is that most people don't even question their desires. They sort of willingly choose to exist on this tossing waves surface of like their emotions and their desires, and they never go deeper and try to figure out, pull the string of whys and like, why do I feel this way? Do I really agree with that? What do I actually think the solution is? Most people are just reacting through life, trying to build a house on the surface of the sea, and you'll never find peace there. For somebody who justifies hate in their heart, there's never enough hatred or enough political change that will put you at ease. If you agree with hate, you'll always hate. You're always going to have hatred in your heart. You'll never have peace. You'll never feel joy. Your life will be like the dream of the never-ending hallway where you just never grasp the handle and walk through the door. You never get fulfilled. And this world's always going to have issues. There's always going to be people that hate you for whatever reason. If it's not being gay, or if it's not being Republican, or if it's not the color of your skin. If it's not one thing, it'll be another. The world's going to find a way to hate you. But those who make the same internal decision as Martin Luther King Jr. made, internally saying, I will never hate, never. Those are going to be the only people that truly love you. You may think that the people on your side of the political argument love you. Not if they hate the other side. The Republican that hates the Democrat doesn't love his fellow Republican. Because if you have hate in your heart at all, you are not in love. 1 John speaks about that. Anybody who hates his brother does not have the love of God in his heart. So when you want to find love in this world, look for the people that are unreasonable about it. Look for the people who refuse to hate no matter what. Look for the people who could be being dragged up to the gallows to be hung and say, forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. You won't find very many people like that. I've actually found that the first place to start looking for a person like that is inside your own heart to become one.